you're an outlaw. Okay. Did you know that the episode that we recorded was deleted from YouTube for medical misinformation?
You mean the medical misinformation that there was nobody in the hospital?
Episode 12. Here we are. Okay, we're going to get back our rights. I'm here joined by Dennis Knills, who serves as Justice State Sheriff of Yavapai County, Arizona, recorder and coordinator for the Arizona State Assembly. Look at your own state assembly and join it. And we are joined by our special guest, Etienne de la Boetie2. I probably screwed up the last part of that name. Okay, but he is the founder of the Art of Liberty Foundations, worked on Wall Street for the Big Four think tank in DC, executive board member. But I got to tell you, I'm super excited to have Etienne on, because this is your nom de plume, okay? Because if we use your regular name, it probably won't be shown.
Well, also, so I'm the author of the book, Government, the Biggest Scam in History, Exposed, where I'm making the case that government was never intended to protect life, liberty, and property, but government is essentially a technique of intergenerational organized crime to rob and control societies, and that all government is illegitimate. I'm a voluntaryist, and all that a voluntarist means is that someone that believes that all human relationships should be voluntary, that nobody should have the ability to use violence or extortion or force on anybody else, not even if they're a quote unquote government. Government doesn't get a pass for morality. And one of the ways that you can know that you have a bad government is because they are using violence on peaceful people to try and achieve, social engineering or raise revenue on their friends and their neighbors. And so voluntarists think that all government is illegitimate because it is impossible to delegate rights that you do not have yourself. The ability to steal money and call it taxation, the ability to make up rules for everybody and call it laws. If I don't have the ability to do that for Dr. B or for Dennis, then it's impossible for me to delegate a right I do not possess myself to a representative or to a government to do something that I don't have the ability to do myself. So if the right for the government to do everything that the government does didn't come from we, the people, because it's impossible for we, the people, to delegate rights they don't have themselves, if it's impossible to be bound by a social contract that you didn't sign, and if it's impossible for Dennis and myself to rob Dr. B just because there's two of us and one of him, and we vote in democracy that he has to give us all of his money, if that would be illegitimate if there's just three of us, then it doesn't matter if there's four of us or 250 million of us. You can't, no magical additional person makes something that is immoral and illogical now moral and logical just because the majority of people, the mob, wanted to, rob Peter to pay Paul or vote to lynch black people. Just because the mob outnumbers its victims, it doesn't make that desirable. And so government has been the biggest scam in history, and they've been getting away with it because they control the government and the media and academia. And so what we're exposing in the book, Government, the Biggest Scam in History, is really the playbook of how governments use control of the media and control of education to indoctrinate the population that government is legitimate, desirable, and necessary before you're old enough to really evaluate the logic and the morality of that claim. And so that's just a little bit about me, but the book Government, the Biggest Scam in History has been designed to take your friends, your relatives, and your neighbors from kind of 0 to 60 in a very, very short amount of time, leveraging the fact that most people are visual learners. And so in the book, I'm doing a lot with media organization charts, media ownership charts. I'm doing a lot with visualizations that make what was invisible visible, so that when your friends and your family and neighbors can see what that control structure looks like in the media or in the government, and they see it with their own eyes, they come to a deeper understanding of how the organized crime system is able to control, dozens and dozens of ostensibly independent media companies by coordinating the actions of the key publishers, editors, reporters through a small handful of organizations that Jeffrey Epstein was also a member of. So as one example.
Your book, honest to God, blew my mind. Okay, I encourage you to get it, borrow a copy. I've got a copy at my office, and it's in our lending library. I'm going to order a couple more. But you go through there and you detail out. I mean, I was raised in the system, so I am pre-programmed. I was a Boy Scout. Okay,
me too.
For you to break from that, but you go into history, you go in the Weimar Republic. Okay, when Hitler took over, they had freedom of the press, they had freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and they took over. Russia, same thing. They had it in their constitution, just like we did, and that was just it. It was
so that, by the way, the fact that all of those constitutions failed is, a testament to the fact that government is not a good idea. Government is not going to deliver the goods. I mean, there's a moral argument that says that you can't delegate rights that you don't have yourself. You can't be bound by a social contract you didn't sign. But there's also this utilitarian argument that government doesn't deliver the goods. Government can't protect, there's no, magic document that's able to even protect basic rights. And we're seeing that, go on right now with the COVID, where we're losing the right of assembly, where we're losing the right of the freedom of press with fact checking and taking down videos and the kind of mass censorship on these DARPA front company intelligence agency platforms that are being used to algorithmically control the information the population receives. And so government was never a good idea. And it doesn't matter if you've got a constitution. What the lessons of history, have proven through all of those different organizations that are, all those different governments, the Nazis, the Soviets, the East Germans, is it doesn't matter what's on the paper. Once you give a minority of society the ability to make up rules for everybody and steal the wealth of others, and they get a pass from morality and they get an exemption from morality and they have the ability to use violence on peaceful people, they're going to rob you. And we're being robbed. There's trillions of dollars that are missing from the Pentagon, from HUD, from the U.S. Postal Service, from a variety of different organizations. We're handing trillions of dollars to private banks and private companies through the TARP and the TALF in 2008, and now through the stimulus and the bailouts in 2020 and 2021. We're handing trillions of dollars away, even though that's inflationary and even though that's stealing the value out of everybody else's money. We've got an organized crime problem.
And you detail it out in the book because, I mean, we're all, programmed to salute the flag, Pledge of Allegiance, everything. And, you get emotional looking at the flag, thinking that we're all part of one group. In your book, of course, you flip around the book, you talk about voluntaryism. Okay. Because if government, and a lot of us look at it as government is necessary for, running the military, protecting the public, or, working on infrastructure. And I think it's really clear that private businesses could do that a heck of a lot better and more efficient with way less bureaucracy. But how do you take a state and turn it into like liberty?
That's a really good question because, one of the problems that I found with the book, and, the book has been the best-selling book at over a dozen plus Liberty events. It's been out for, over 2 years now. It has been professionally edited, professionally fact-checked. All of the major scholarship and claims are hypertext linked to the evidence that supports the claim, and it's backed up on either an 8 gig or 16 gig credit card sized flash drive that we call the Liberator, that you can just put into a computer, and it's got documentaries and short videos and MP truth music and 1,200 dank Liberty memes and books on PDF and everything that supports either the criminality and illegitimacy of government, or what you just brought up, which is the good news message of the book, which is that we don't need government, that everything that government does would be better provided by the free market, by nonprofits, by mutual aid societies, by real charity, and that if there wasn't this, crooked organized crime middleman standing in the middle, shuffling money out the back door to military industrial complex companies for weapon systems that we don't need, to wage wars based on lies and manufactured intelligence, if we weren't being robbed wholesale, if everybody got their money back, if the banks weren't allowed to steal the value out of the money using fractional reserve banking, then everybody in the country would be dramatically wealthier. Your dollar would buy more and more each year instead of losing value every single year. And we would have more than enough surplus available to deal with the poor, the needy, and the disadvantaged. And in fact, when you're spending directly your own money with these charities that really do make an impact versus inefficient government, social welfare programs that frequently produce unintended consequences and the opposite of what they're designed to do on a variety of levels, then you're getting a 2 to 3x return because you're spending your money with the local food bank or with the local church or with with somebody where you've got your eye on the results in a way that is not happening through Washington, D.C. And so the way that I encourage people to look at it is just think of government as a monopoly provider of goods and services. They're saying only we can deliver first-class mail. Only we can provide armed protective services. Only we can provide dispute resolution in our courts. Only we can provide air traffic control. Only we can provide whatever the monopoly service is. And then it's just not logical. Of course, you can have armed protective services, Brinks and ADT. They offer armed protective services right now today to their clients. But when the ADT security guard or the Brinks security guard or West Tech or any other companies that do it, when they arrive, they don't lord over you. They don't have rights that you don't have. You have the ability to protect your life and your liberty and your property, and so you can delegate that right to Brinks. You don't have the right to be telling your neighbor whether or not he should have a poker game or whether or not he should smoke a plant. And so when the Brinks or the ADT guard get there, they're not going to arrest your neighbor for having a poker game or shoot his dog or arrest him for having a plant that he shouldn't have in his backyard. They're only going to protect life, liberty, and property because you have that ability and you can delegate it. It's a much more logical system. It's a much more efficient system. It reduces a lot of the friction that is caused by politics in the United States. And I like to call it the only ism that's fair for everybody. Nobody gets the ring of power. Nobody gets to use violence on anybody else. Everybody has the exact same rights. And the good news message is that the world produces something called spontaneous order, and that everything that you want government to do would be better done by the free market or nonprofits or mutual aid societies or by charities. And if you just get out of the way, then we could see the economy blossom. We could see, a tremendous amount of wealth produced, and everybody would be better off once we expose the illegitimacy and the criminality of government.
And their control of the media and the thoughts. I mean, last time we talked, which was deleted by YouTube, we were talking about the Thick Red Line Project, which blew my mind, a natural law. Mm-hmm. Now, Dennis, you've been a sheriff for forever. Okay. Right. What the Thick Red Line, we're like, it's no harm, no foul, but the Big Ten, you can't steal, you can't rob, you can't hurt, you can't, just basic common sense.
Right.
I love the way you put, it's illegal to have a certain type of plant in your backyard. Come on.
How stupid is that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Dennis, will police and sheriffs be getting behind this new idea? I know they need to be re-educated, like I needed to be re-educated.
Well, everybody needs to be re-educated, and whether they will or they won't is totally on the individual level. Because right now they're all led by the corporations, and the corporations, have their laws, and we're telling you what to do. And that they're basically like robots. They go in there and they look for trouble. Instead of going around driving and trying to help people out, they're looking for people that might be jaywalking or, that look suspicious. So they, pull them over and throw them against the wall and, okay, where are you going? What are you doing? That all has to stop. And it's, everybody needs the 10 Commandments and common sense. Common sense is the big thing. If you have no common sense, you're going to be behind bars a long time. It's like, because a lot of people with no common sense just run amok. They go, oh yeah, I can go in and rob the Circle K store, and I don't have any qualms about that. I need the money. But it's like everybody in the United States and around the world is completely wealthy if we get the governments out of the way. And right now they're just, playing their games again. Okay, the Democrats will be in, then the Republicans will come in, and then it's, back and forth. And, it's like, like you said, it's a scam. Okay, you're voting for the president of Burger King to run the country when you vote. Okay, that's what it is, because it's all government. I mean, it's all corporation laws and regulations, and they're the ones that control the cops because everything's incorporated. They're all tied to the corporations, which is tied to the governments.
So we've got to change the education. Now, Etienne, I don't want to call you Howard because I don't want to get deleted again. I'm gonna need. We're all gonna need aliases, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, so the schools are indoctrinating people. I mean, luckily, a lot of parents are understanding critical race theory is indoctrinating. It's designed to create separatism. These are literally mind control things. They're not teaching students what they actually need to survive. Okay.
No, so and I break it down in the book that the government is using the unethically manipulative techniques of an unethically manipulative religion or a cult to slide the population the belief in having a ruling class and having a government. It's called statism. And they're doing that through this unethically manipulative program that not only includes the mandatory government school, but also includes the government affiliated scouting program. And so we're going to slide belief in government as a religion, and we're going to do it through the church school where the priest, the teacher, will lead the class in the Pledge of Allegiance, the kind of common prayer of the religion, and we'll teach them the hymns of the Star Spangled Banner, and they will take them to Washington, D.C. in middle school, and they will take them to Mecca, and they will take them into the cathedral of the Capitol that looks like the Vatican for a reason, and they'll take them down to the temples, and they'll show them the deities, and it will be very, very, reverent. And then they have another kind of level of indoctrination through the government affiliated scouting programs, where now we're going to have a different curriculum to create what they call order followers, people that will set their morality aside and either use violence on brown people across the sea, or use violence on peaceful people to enforce the edicts, the commandments of the religion on their friends and neighbors, and to raise revenue on their friends and neighbors using government and government control. And so that program is the Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts. Now we're going to shave the kids' heads. We're going to put them in the uniform, the single form conformity. We're going to segment them away from the rest of society for the weekends to, military bases. If you're in the Military Explorer program and the Boy Scouts, a lot of people don't even realize that the Boy Scouts have programs affiliated with the military, with the Department of Homeland Security. They don't understand that the Marines are running high schools, that they've got a program called Young Marines, that they've got a program called DoD Starbase, that they've got law enforcement, ride-alongs, that they've got junior reserve officer training corps where they're taking kids in high school, they're shaving their heads, they're putting them in uniforms, they're teaching them hierarchical command and control. And so once you really understand that this is the exact same techniques the Nazis did, the exact same techniques the Soviets did, the exact same techniques that the East Germans did, and you realize, hey, the United States is running the exact same playbook, well, then you're like, and that's what the book exposes, then you're kind of ahead of the game. You can see the repetition of the method. Most human beings are really good pattern recognition machines. And so there's a lot done in the book for you to see that historical pattern, because once you can see it with your own eyes, you're like, hey, that's a playbook. They're doing that on purpose. They're running game on me to try and, get me to be, lovey-dovey towards the flag by product placing the flag into movies and television shows and anchoring it to scenes of high positive emotion. And so it's a scam, and we're showing everybody what the book is.
What you do with words, okay, you completely changed because we look at standard words and not really what the meanings they are, like uniform. You're becoming one form. Government, control of the mind. Okay. And we don't think of these things. Like if somebody said government, instead they said what the word actually means, they're going to control your mind.
So the subtitle of the book is How Intergenerational Organized Crime Runs the Government and the Media. I'm about to begin work on the 5th edition of the book, and I'm actually going to change that. And the new subtitle will be How Intergenerational Organized Crime Runs the Government, the Media, and Academia, because academia and the media have really been working together to give the population the idea that government is legitimate, desirable, and necessary, starting with the mandatory government school, where that idea is slipped to kids before they're old enough to really evaluate the logic and the morality of that claim. And then it's been, the other thing that we break down and expose in the book is it's been the government and the media working together since time immemorial, since the beginning, since monarchy, since, you name it, to be able to control the population. And when it was just newspapers, they owned and controlled the newspapers. And when radio came along, they funded radio's development as a technique to be able to, to communicate with the population on this very, very wide scale and indoctrinate them with ideas that they wanted to indoctrinate the population with. And so it's been the government and the media and academia essentially working together. Now, that doesn't mean that your local teacher is in on it. What it means is that they've got a system of hierarchical control through the payment to the teachers, where the teachers are going to teach whatever the education establishment puts in front of them to teach. And then that is the problem, is that they're teaching things that are inherently immoral, inherently illogical, because they're being paid to. And what we're doing is we're exposing that hidden curriculum a lot of times to the teachers that have never really thought about it before. Is it legitimate, necessary, and desirable to have a government in the first place? That option is the one that you never see talked about in a classroom. You never see discussed on TV. It is the elephant in the room. It is the big secret that they don't want discussed. Is government legitimate, necessary, and desirable, or has it been a control system for managing human populations since the beginning?
You mean if we taught in school cooperative voluntarism, where students are taught that we're all part of the same community, we're all part of the same spirit. We don't need a government control, that we respect each other and we live towards the natural law, commandments. What would life be like if our kids, our children, grew up respecting and loving each other, realizing that we're all of an equal status, Or would it be better to teach them critical race theory, that everybody should be judged for the color of their skin?
No. I mean, you nailed it. So in addition to being an indoctrination program, there is also within the government school system, there is a debilitation program that is designed not to teach morality, that is designed not to teach ethics, that is designed to divide and conquer through critical race theory, that is designed to sow division, that is designed to use educational methods that are known not to work, like whole language, like Common Core. So we don't want a student body of independent thinkers that have a good basis of morality and ethics, because if they had a good basis of morality and ethics, then they would understand that government is in and of itself illegitimate and immoral and is dependent upon violence, extortion, indoctrination, propaganda, etc. And so we want to dumb down the public. We want to debilitate them in the government school system. And I break down that hidden curriculum in Government, the Biggest Scam in History Exposed.
Wow.
But, this is, I know bringing that all to the forefront is important, because a lot of people do not understand. A lot of people are just puppets. They do their everyday thing, same thing every day. Get up, go to work, come home, eat dinner, go to bed, same thing. It's like Groundhog Day all over again. But a lot of people that are awakened like we are, okay, we have to get more people there. With the book and so on, exposing the government, it's a great idea, but I mean, continue on with that and give the people the ideas of how they're being manipulated, like you're saying, through the schools and through the government and the police departments. But we need to have a solution to get, we know we have to straighten out the government. We need a solution on how to do that. And I think with your mind and Dr. B's and the state assemblies and Anna von Reitz and some of these other guys that are traveling around, Sheriff Mack and David Strait, all these people get together to find the solution for everyone to live peaceably together. Okay, I mean, definitely let everybody know, and we know what's going on, because we've lived it, we've all been here, we're all going through it, and people are being harassed by the police and the government and the supposedly IRS, and we've got a president in there that's president of nothing, because the United States Inc. has been liquidated. So they're still playing the game. We know they're playing the game. Now we have to do something about it to replace them with the people that have the voice. So we need to find a way to gather everybody together to be on the same page. And all of this will help. It's almost like a learning process where you give them the information that you're giving them, letting everybody know, but we have to get it out because the media is controlled by the government. And I agree. Everybody has to know that, but how do we get that word out to everybody?
Well, I'll throw this out. So sales of the book have exploded over the past 4 months, and we're shipping books out to 20 plus different countries around the world. And it has been, we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of copies. And one of the other things that's interesting about the book is that people are buying it in mass. And so we've had over 110 people that have bought, what we call friends bundles of 5 and 10 copies, and they're putting them into public libraries. They're putting them into the little mini libraries that people find in like little neighborhoods. They're putting them as coffee table books in Airbnbs. They're putting them as coffee table books in their own homes. They're putting them into barbershops and coffee shops. And I got an order from Australia of 10 copies from Australia, and the woman in the little note field, this was last week, wrote that she'd found it because the guy that owned her favorite coffee shop in Australia had put it out on the counter on the coffee shop. And so it is, what I look at is the two pillars that have to fall within somebody's mind are, number one, you've really got to understand that government is illegitimate. You've got to, on a deep kind of personal level, you've got to understand that there can never be a legitimate government, that if you are trying to find your freedom or win your freedom within the government system, then you're playing in a rigged poker game, and there's no way that you're going to win their rigged game. And so there really has to be a different kind of thinking about the problem and understanding that there is no government solution. You can't vote harder. You can't get the right guys in. It's not going to be a third party. It's going to be a realization that government itself is illegitimate. And then you're now thinking, how do I solve these problems as if there is not a government? Because that realization is coming like a freight train to the rest of society. So people, whether you're getting it from my book or others, or Derek Bros is on tour, or whoever it is, people are realizing that the government is, number one, illegitimate, and number two, it's deeply criminal, that Washington, D.C. has been hijacked by the worst murder incorporated organized crime out there, and they are stealing trillions. They're handing trillions of dollars to private banks, private companies through this bailout and the stimulus, and they're giving no bid contracts, and they're waging wars based on lies and manufactured intelligence, and they're murdering opposition, and it's as bad as it gets. And so that is now getting through society, which is why they're trying to lock us down. Right. The second thing that you need to do, or need to understand, in my opinion, is that there is a man behind the curtain in the media. And so that's why we do the media ownership charts in the book, so you can see with your own eyes how 5 to 6 companies on the old media side are controlling perception by managing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of subsidiaries. They all have different logos. They all have different company names or publication names or publication titles, or, whatever it is. But all of that on the old media side, radio, television, print, newspapers, satellite networks, et cetera, that's all rolling up to a small handful of companies operating as a cartel. And then on the new media side, there's about 2 to 3 dozen what I like to call DARPA front companies, where we have provided unlimited funds, unlimited capital, technology head start, patents, whatever it is, to ensure that 2 to 3 dozen platforms, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Wikipedia, Discuss, that does comments on thousands of websites, Snopes, Amazon, Netflix, etc., are all working together to algorithmically censor information on the DARPA internet. They are demonetizing videos, as Dr. B has been demonetized. They are de-indexing videos so that you can't find them using the search engine on the YouTube platform or on Google. They're giving you a Google filter bubble so that the results that you get are different than the results that somebody else gets, so that it seems like it's legitimate results to you. But they may not be showing it to somebody that doesn't know what they're looking for. They're shadow banning people on Twitter. They're using all of these different ways to censor the information that the public receives in an attempt to kind of program the public like a computer. So if you think of the human brain as a computer, garbage in, garbage out. And so if you don't understand that they've been controlling the information that they receive through this monopolization of the media or the algorithmic censorship of the DARPA internet, then you're not even in the game. But once you do get that, once you go, when you see the media ownership charts, or when you see the organizational charts, and you see, it's the entire media. They're using the entire media to make it look like there's all these different viewpoints, et cetera, but they're actually controlling the, what is actually discussed, very, very broadly. Now you're in the game. Now you know how the game works. And what I like to say, and what I'm trying to do with the book is, once you realize how the magician does the trick, then it's very, very hard to be fooled by the magician again. And so we're exposing how the magician does the trick.
And what avenues? Because it's education. We got to get this information out there. I'm on Library, BitChute, a bunch of other things. Is there like one platform, or what would you suggest that we could get together? I mean, through the American States Assembly, I mean, we're changing people's status on a monthly basis at our office, educating, and my idea is to take back county by county, and then we take back the state, and then we educate people that it's possible to have a world where it's cooperative voluntarism.
Yep.
Okay. And then where can we communicate? Where can we connect?
So we have a list of untrustworthy platforms and trustworthy platforms in the back of Government, the Biggest Scam in History Exposed. But I've got to say that those are constantly changing. And at one point, as an example, Telegram was on the block. There was a rumor that Microsoft was about to buy them for $10 billion. And so, we may lose the Telegram platform at one time. Right now, I think that that's a pretty good, effective way of coordinating, group activities with censored, with uncensored communications. But that is subject to change. I used to think BitChute was a great platform until I found out BitChute was censoring. And so, it's a kind of never-ending arms race. But once you realize that, hey, we've got to all get to a trusted platform, and you're out there looking and evaluating and kind of understanding of the way that the game is being played against you, now you're actually in the game, and you're getting closer to exposing the whole thing. This is a revolution that's only going in one direction. Once you realize that there's a man in the media, then you don't believe the media anymore. Once you realize that government is illegitimate, when you really get it through your mind that government is illegitimate, then you're not looking for a government solution. You're looking for the voluntary solution. And then, like I said, the good news message is whatever you want government to do that is non-redistributive. The only caveat is you can't be robbing Peter to pay Paul. But whether it's building the roads, whether it's, air traffic control, Canada has privatized their air traffic control. There are no planes that are dropping out of the sky in Canada. Everything that government does, believe me, FedEx and UPS would love to deliver first-class mail if there wasn't a law against them delivering first-class mail, and it would probably be cheaper, and it would probably be, get there a lot faster and actually get there, than what the U.S. Postal Service is doing. So there is everything that the government does would be better done by the free market or by nonprofits, and that is happening. And so I see it as a revolution that's only going in one direction. I'm very, very optimistic. I think we're going to win the whole thing. I think there's, I think we're going to win this.
Honest to God, we are. I've been, anxiety and stress the last 18 months because I couldn't see a pattern. I couldn't see it. Mm-hmm. But the last 2-3 months, it's starting to form. And God bless you, man, with people like you breaking those walls down, because I can't trust the government. I've had faith in them. I thought that we were all working towards a common goal, and I've been lied to. Okay. Yep. We have no protected rights. Our rights are inalienable, given us by God. The rules, the natural law, given that everyone would agree to. I mean, it's spectacular. So how can people purchase the book, download the book? How can people get a hold of you?
Government-scam.com is where you can get the book, and you can also download the Liberator, all of the evidence that backs up and exposes the illegitimacy of government and the criminality of government, and presents this good news solution of voluntaryism, that the world is a self-organizing place. It produces spontaneous order, and that everything that people want government to do would be done by the free market. And the fact that once you get government out of the way, there's all of these market forces, there's capital creation, and there's the invisible hand, and there's these things that give you outcomes that end up being better than what you would have gotten through a top-down hierarchical Soviet command and control system in Washington, D.C. And so you're going to get better outcomes. You're going to have more wealth. You're going to have more prosperity. You're going to have less violence in society. You're going to have less people, rotting in for-profit prisons for victimless crimes where they're often forced to work as slave labor for some of these cartel companies. You're going to get a way better outcome once you break through of the indoctrination of conditioning that there has to be a government that was sold to you unethically, manipulatively when you were a kid in a mandatory government school run by the people that are telling you that you got to give them all their money. And so that, government-scam.com is the place to download the book. You can actually download the book for free, a preview copy where we've got 90% of the content in there available for free for you to be able to kind of like check it out. And if you download a Liberator with all the evidence of the government criminality and illegitimacy, then we'll give you the complete book if you download the Liberator from our Dropbox. And so we think the information is so important. We want to see it get out. It's getting out all over the world, 20 plus countries. Hundreds and hundreds of copies are going to countries outside of the United States. And so it is a revolution that's only going in one direction.
Brother, we used to call it breaking skulls open. Okay. Because I mean, back before the insanity, I'd travel, speak at a conference at least once a month all around the world. Mm-hmm. And I'd give them information that was so different than what they were used to. Because they thought, arthritis was going to be permanent. Then I showed them that you could reverse arthritis. Said, you can reverse these chronic diseases. So it's information that breaks open the skulls. And that's what you're doing to me. Good God. I mean, I'm two of the smartest guys I know. Dennis, yes. How can people get a hold of you? Because we've got to take it back county by county. And how can people best get a hold?
Okay. You can get a hold of me through the American States Assembly. You can go there and look up coordinator for the Arizona State Assembly, and or you can email me at dennisk@the arizonastateassembly.org.
God bless you, man. Etienne, aka Howard, brother, whatever. I want to kiss your parents. I mean, however you got the freedom, you literally have broken the chains, and the way you word stuff and looking at your site, it's fantastic. It's freedom. It gives you hope that we can literally live in harmony with each other without any fear of the slavery shit that we're in now. Okay. God bless you, man. Okay. All this stuff will, we're going to have a part that people can see on YouTube, because this is illegal information. It's breaking the chains that have been purposely put in your brain through the education, through the media, through everything. It is literally, you are the revolution.
That's what the assemblies are, bringing people together to end the madness, along with the information that's given to, prove that the government doesn't need to be there. And the voices are of the people. We, the people, are in control of our own destiny, and that's what we have to do. Get rid of the governments and just live peaceably and, just in harmony. And it could and it will happen if we keep dredging forward, and that's what we need to do.
It will. There is no plan B. This is it.
That's right.
We are the resistance.
We are the resistance. Absolutely.
Yep. Big time.
God bless you for being with us, and we'll check out our new episodes. We're going to have the whole series in. Get ready to have your minds blown, because this is getting back your rights, back your freedoms, and these freedoms, when we get them back, they cannot be separated from you. God bless you guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks for doing what you guys do.
See you later,
you
man.
too.
If you can hear my voice, you are part of the resistance.